All right. It's qualified. This is not the beginning of Star Wars on my chest. It's one exercise for back, one exercise for chest, one exercise for shoulders, one exercise for biceps, one exercise for triceps, one exercise for front of the thigh, one exercise for back of the thigh. Can we make it any simpler than that? Thank you, Lou Valenti. Now on to the rest of the show. The other day I had a client come in, doing what clients normally do, asking a bunch of different questions about weight loss. Hey Shank, what about breakfast? Hey Shank, what about eating late at night? Hey Shank, what about vegan and vegetarianism? Hey Shank, what about intermittent fasting? Hey Shank, what about low carb versus high carb? And instead of going on one of my normal 5-hour diatribes, which essentially comes down to it's all about context. I know the zealots don't like to hear that. I decided to tell a story. And the story was from a book by a guy named Jack Weatherford. It was called Genghis Khan, something like Making of the Modern World. And in this story, this Christian missionary comes into the court of the Khan, and he notices something very peculiar. He notices that there is a Jewish advisor. He notices there's a Hindu advisor. He notices there's a Muslim advisor. He notices there's a pagan advisor. He notices there's a Christian advisor. What's going on here? And this Khan spokesman says, look, we view religion differently than you do. We look at religion as like the hand. And the palm represents God. And every finger, which is different in form and function, represents how every man is different in form and function, and how every religion is different in form and function. But they all serve the common denominator, which is the palm of the hand. I don't think there's a better example of this than me. Right? I love Catholics. I consider myself a bit of a Catholic one time in my life. The only problem is I like to judge and argue, which in the Catholic Church I grew up in didn't work out very well. First off, God is the only judge, and they felt like they had a pretty good system in place, and it was really just a matter of implementing it better. They need to go tearing everything apart. Does this mean that Catholicism is better than Judaism, or Judaism is better than Catholicism? Of course not. That's the type of vile crap that people who blow up buildings think. The point being is, it's about how does information apply to the individual. Take me, for example. Someone said, hey Shank, why aren't you a vegetarian? Well, number one, for a very, very long time, like my whole life, I thrived off animal protein. For a very, very long time, my entire life, I fart a lot. So you combine those two things and everybody's suffering. I suffer because I don't have enough animal protein in my system, and the people around me suffer because I'm farting all the time. That means vegetarianism, veganism is just not a good diet for me. That does not mean it applies that way to you. Take the breakfast, for example. My one client said, what about breakfast? I said, well, do you normally eat breakfast? No. Are you starving in the middle of the day? No, I'm very hungry at night, but not in the middle of the day. Okay. Then if you know you're on limited calories, you're trying to lose weight, leave your calories for later at night when you're hungry. That doesn't make breakfast good or bad. I've met people who have lost weight and not lost weight eating breakfast. Again, it comes down to the context of the individual. Right? I mean, what do you do with, what's the difference? Atheists on the hand, I guess they're the middle finger, but the point being is, it's not about religion. It's about what the zealots don't want you to hear, right? Now people say, well, Shank, if it really is about the individual, about calories in, calories out, how it applies to the individual, then why are people going so nuts about certain things? I'll tell you why. There's actually 3 reasons why. Number one, they have a vested financial interest in going nuts about certain topics. Number 2, they can't get outside themselves. They believe that because something worked for them, it'll definitely work for you. And number 3, some people are just crazy. Right? So what I'd like you to do is do what the Christians do, right? They always say, what would Jesus do? Well, you got to say, well, what would I do within the context and nuance of myself? And I try to provide information to help you figure that out more. But if you're going to have some overarching dietary clarity, some moment of just, oh God, thank God somebody made it so simple. That's the simplicity of it. There is no real conflicting information. Yeah, there's crappy information, like let's say it's about hormones and not about calories in, calories out. But outside of that, the conflicting information is usually being taken in the wrong context based on you as an individual. So that's about it. I think we covered it all there. It all comes down to you. Get the calories in, calories out. Stop wasting time on these fanciful fantasies and start figuring out how information applies directly to you. Thank you very much.